sorry. Pokey the Bear here. We're gonna finish part 5. So I guess this will technically be part 6. So many videos. So new. But anyway, so meanwhile at this party, Alexander's there. And Alexander sees and hears everything because that's how Alexander is. What he doesn't see is Papa and Widget, their little old 13 selves, playing with these kittens that someone got them for their birthday, and they notice that Alexander does not have a shadow. They become obsessed with that, and they end up telling Chandris, who of course is fragile because of how many times his mind and brain has been altered. He is just fragile. But after that's stated, we go back forward to 1902, and we see Bailey at the circus again, spending time. But Widget and Poppet obviously have to go do their show because they work for the circus and stuff. But Bailey stumbles upon this tent called Bedtime Stories, Eventime Rhapsodies, Anthologies of Memory. Please enter cautiously and feel free to open what is closed. This room always reminds me of my friend Jess, because when she talks, my soul sister, she talks her stories, like, bring everything to life. And you learn later on about this room that this is actually Widget's circus tent. He made this. He tells his stories and he puts them into the bottles. So you walk into this room and it's just a tent. It's just a table. It's like a dining room, like what I'm in. Can't show you because there's a lot of personal pictures and stuff of my family, and that doesn't need to be on the interwebs. But it's like a regular dining room with a pantry, and there's jars all over the place, and there's glass jars, there's containers, everything. He opens a lid, and it takes him somewhere else. One time it takes him to a beach. They're almost all positive, but then you realize that there are negatives. Like, there's a scary one where he opens it up, and all of a sudden he hears a woman screaming, and, like, but he finds it beautiful. And you learn out later that that is Widget's room, actually. But we're then going to go back to 1900, where we see Chandris. And he has decided that he wants to see what his assistant is actually up to. What's the circus up to? You know, he started the circus. He deserves to know what the circus is up to. He is confused. And hold on 2 seconds. Chewy is being extremely loud today, and he keeps interrupting me. I really want to get through this book with you guys, though, because we're so close. The best parts are coming up. So, in bookkeeping, Chandris breaks into, well, he doesn't like break into. The room is open. Chandris walks into, walks into Marco's office, starts looking and poking around all these papers that Marco's got about the circus, and he ends up breaking into a drawer that's got this book that has a strand. Chewy, shh. Chewy. It has a strand of everybody's hair that's worked for the circus, or been part of the circus, or created the circus. And really what this is a book of just protection on the people that work there so that they don't get hurt. They can't be hurt, they can't be injured, they can't die, they can't age. That's all it is. But Chandris doesn't know. He's freaking out. He's losing everything, and he's such a fragile-minded person now that Marco comes in and completely and utterly changes everything, the whole scenario. so that there's nothing of the circus about. Like, Chandris thinks that he's literally just walked into this room and gone crazy. Like, he just imagined all this stuff, and it's not real. And Marco goes, would you like another bottle of brandy, sir? So you can tell that, like, this is, and Chandris says, this is not what I wanted from this arrangement. And Marco goes, you never had a choice about this arrangement. You have no control, and you never did. And you never even wanted to know how things were done. You signed receipts without so much as a glance. Money was no object, you said to me, nor were any of the details. Those were always left up to me. And as suddenly as it begins, Chandris forgets that all of this happened, that he walked into this room, that he stumbled about. He's confused. He's just utterly confused. And we as the people and the listeners, you feel really bad for Chandris. You know, like, this is his whole life's work. The circus ended up being his whole life's work. In the end, that was the thing that mattered still out of all the jobs he's done, all the things he's preneured. But it doesn't matter, because Marco took over. Alexander took over. We then go to 1900, where Laney is about to have some cups of tea with people. She's asking the same questions Tara asked. Only she goes to different people. She goes to Padva, and they look at her dresses. They talk about Chandris, who seems to be losing it. And then Laney decides that she shouldn't ask any more questions from Padva. So she then goes to Mr. Barris, of course. And Mr. Barris and her, I guess, have a long history of being in love, and he was in love with both of them, but apparently loved Laney more. And she declines his marriage again, which was something that I kind of wish there was a side book about Mr. Barris, Tara, and Laney, because I really feel like they had a beautiful kind of thing going on, and we missed it. Even in the book, it wasn't really written about, except for in this one chapter. On page 335, he's talking about how much he loves her, and how much he's always loved her. And she's like, you can't even tell me or my sister apart. Like, how could you be in love with me? And then they end up talking about how he hasn't needed his glasses for years. So, like, his eyesight has been perfect randomly for years. And they drink tea, of course. Good old-fashioned tea. Something the whole world drinks, except for, like, America, I think. But she ends up asking him, you know what's going on here, don't you? And Barris says, yeah, he does. And she said, did you tell my sister? And he goes, no. And then she said, then tell me. And he goes, I can't. To explain would involve breaking a trust, and I am not willing to do that. And then she asks, how many times have you lied to me? He said, I have never lied. I do not share what I am not at liberty to say. I gave my word and I intend to keep it. But I have never lied to you. You never even asked me. You assume I knew nothing. Then she said, Tara asked me. And Mr. Barris goes, indirectly. I do not think she knew what to ask, and I would not have answered if she did. I was concerned about her, and I suggested that she speak with Alexander if she wanted answers. I assume that was why she was at the station, and that makes her brain click. She goes, oh my God, Alexander! So we're going to skip forward a little bit. Laney then has tea with Celia because she knows. I don't know how she knows, really. I don't. I guess because she's the illusionist. She would have to be, would be. But we're going to go to page 339, where I'm going to read part of their conversation. This is Laney talking. She goes, "Surely by now you can trust me enough to tell what it is that's really going on here. I doubt you dare to tell me it is nothing or suggest I not trouble myself with such matters." And Cecilia tries to explain it by keeping the details vague, covering only the basic concept of the challenge, how the circus functions as a venue, yada, 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 how certain people know more than others. And Laney listens really carefully. And then she asks, "How long has Ethan known? How long has Mr. Barris known?" And Celia goes, "A very long time." And at that, she, breaks a tea glass, breaks a teacup. It just shatters. And of course, Celia fixes it right there. And then at the very end of the conversation, because she realizes, like, there's no control, there's no way out of this. Until the challenge is over, there's no way out. And this was kind of like my warning, in a way, that this is the only way I'm going to be safe. Which is a wake-up call, because now we go from it being beautiful to now it's just dark. It's just dark. And then she says, "If you ever need anything from me, I would like you to ask. I'm tired of everyone keeping their secrets so well that when they get other people killed. We are all involved in your games, and it seems we are not as easily repaired as teacups." So she's standing up for everyone in the circus and saying, "You can't be doing this. This is wrong." That's why it's another turning point. So 1901, Celia and Marco end up talking about how their different magics work, how they learned, the various things through that. We then go forward again to 1902. You know, like, they're falling in love more and more, desperately, every day. They talk about how the circus itself works, how it's protected. But we go forward to 1902 again. And here we have Bailey in the field of his dad's farm, tending the sheep. And this is in Massachusetts, by the way. Bailey, all of Bailey's story from the past to this point are in Massachusetts. So he's on the sheep farm, tending the sheep, and Poppet comes up. And she tells him that she believes he has to save the circus. That if he doesn't come with them when the circus leaves, the circus won't exist anymore. And she doesn't tell him anything else, but she does tell him that if you're not going to run away with the circus, then don't come to the circus tonight, because tonight's our last night and it would be too hard for me to see you if you're not coming with. This'll be goodbye. Which, you know, like, how devastating could that be? You're just this 18-year-old kid tending your dad's sheep, still haven't decided your future, and here this beautiful girl that you're actually in love with walks in and tells you that you can't go to the circus, which is like your only place of escaping. That's like telling somebody that you couldn't go to the library if you were a reader, or you couldn't go to the video game store, or, you know, just taking away your happy place if you're not going to do this for forever. So she just, like, broke his heart for him. But then we go to 1901 again, flashing backwards, where Celia goes looking for Alexander. She's got questions for him. But he wasn't there. He wasn't at the hotel. Of course, he was actually standing there in the lobby, checking her out, watching it. Not checking her out in a bad way, but checking her out, being unnoticed. This is the part of the book where it gets complicated if you're not actually reading it. It kind of, well, I guess the whole book is kind of complicated if you're not paying attention or reading it. But It's 1901. And it's All Hallows Eve. Chandress ends up following Alexander to the circus. Hold on. I'm back. We took like 2 seconds to pause. I didn't know you could do that, or else this might have been done sooner. But, so, we're in 1901. It's All Hallows Eve, which is the biggest night of the circus's nights, because it's just so much more festive. So much more festive. I wonder if anybody that doesn't know what All Hallows Eve is, it's Halloween. Halloween. And the days following up and the days after it. So, on Halloween, Chandress follows Alexander to the circus. Alexander is supposed to have Chandress follows Alexander to the circus. He's supposed to be trying to kill Alexander. Alexander, being who he is, knows that Chandress is about to try to kill him and steps out of the way of the bullet, and he ends up shooting the clockmaker, Frederick Thiessen. None of this should have been able to happen, but because Celia broke the protection that, or Isabella broke the protection that she was keeping in her tent, this happened. And Frederick Thiessen is now dead. And everyone is heartbroken. I'm going to close this segment out with page 378, which is my absolute favorite part of the book. I'm probably going to open the next section with it too. But it's a room description, and it's called The Pool of Tears. The sign outside this tent is accompanied by a small box full of smooth black stones. The text instructs you to take one with you as you enter. Inside, the tent is dark, the ceiling covered with open black umbrellas, the curving handles hanging down like icicles. In the center of the room there is a pool, a pond enclosed within a black stone wall that is surrounded by white gravel. The air carries the salty tinge of the ocean. You walk over to the edge to look inside. The gravel crunches below your feet. It is shallow, but it is glowing. A shimmering, shifting light cascades up through the surface of the water. A soft radiance enough to illuminate the pool and the stones that sit at the bottom. Hundreds of stones, each identical to the ones you hold in your hand. The light beneath filters through the spaces between the stones. Reflections ripple around the room, making it appear as though the entire tent is underwater. You sit on the wall, turning your black stone over and over in your fingers. The stillness of the tent becomes a quiet melody. Memories begin to creep forward from hidden corners of your mind. Passing disappointments, lost chances and lost causes, heartbreaks and pain and desolate, horrible loneliness, sorrows you thought long forgotten mingle with still fresh wounds. The stone feels heavier in your hand. When you drop it in the pool to join the rest of the stones, you feel lighter, as though you have released something more than a smooth, polished piece of rock. Have a beautiful day.